Chapter 1. Passive Plunderer. Zhou Chen. When will you pay the rent? At the entrance of a one-room rental house, a chubby landlord said to a young man inside the door, frowning with her hands on her hips. "In 2 days, Sister Wang, you will give me 2 more days to get my salary and I will pay it in full when the time comes." A young man named Zhou Chen stood in a small single-room rental house and smiled and assured the landlord Aunt Wang outside the door. "All right. Sister Wang, I am not a villain, I will believe you once, but if you don't pay any more in 2 days, I will drive someone out." Aunt Wang. The landlord seemed to take a bit of favor with Zhou Chen's voice. After warning, he moved her fat body and left the corridor. Zhou Chen in the small room couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and sighed in a low voice. This poor ghost is so mixed that he can't even pay the rent? The reason why he said this is because the current he is not the original one. The original owner had already committed suicide due to mental depression not long ago. At this time, the soul occupying this body is from the earth with the same name and the same surname, a young man from the celestial dynasty who died in a car accident. Zhou Chen. Since the memory of the original owner has been integrated, Zhou Chen knows a lot of information about his current identity and the world. For example, where he is currently located is the Blue Star Dragon Kingdom, a country that is more similar to the Earth Celestial Dynasty in many respects. For example, he himself is an 18-year-old orphan from the Yangcheng orphanage in Longhua. The national currency balance is only 56 yuan. You have been selected as a survivor by the Infinite Survival System, and the initial trial is about to begin. Suddenly, a mechanical sound without emotion rang in Zhou Chen's mind. What the hell? This body still has symptoms of auditory hallucinations? Zhou Chen directly regarded the strange sound that appeared suddenly as some kind of auditory hallucination. Starting random personal talent. Randomly, you have obtained the unique talent, Passive Predator. Passive Predator, the passive skills possessed by the target you kill will be plundered by you. You can choose to merge, deactivate, activate or abandon the passive technique of plunder. The so-called auditory hallucinations in Zhou Chen's mind quickly sounded again one after another, making him realize that things are not that simple. The initial trial transmission begins. Before he fully understood the current situation, he felt a trance in his spirit again. The surrounding scenery suddenly changed drastically, and the whole person went from the original single-room rental house to a wilderness. This wilderness looks very monotonous, with only a few weeds and some raised soil packs on the vast land. While the sky is thick and gloomy as if it is going to rain. Zhou Chen stood alone in this strange place, forcing himself to cheer up and listen to the next instructions of the so-called Infinite Survival System. Initial Trial. Difficulty, Beginner Bronze. Task: Under the siege of ghouls, survive for 3 minutes. Tip: Failure of the mission will result in death, please take it seriously. Stayed under the siege of ghouls for 3 minutes, ghouls? Where are ghouls? It's not in those dirt bags, right? Zhou Chen, who had basically accepted the status quo, immediately glanced at the dirt packs on the ground nearby, and at the same time stepped forward and ran away. The facts quickly proved that his idea was right, and rotten and withered black bodies were soon drilled out of those dirt bags. As soon as these unclean things came out, they raised their disgusting shriveled heads and looked in the direction where he was, then twisted their hideous limbs and quickly crawled towards him. Since Zhou Chen took the initiative to stay away from those dirt bags just now, he was not quickly overtaken by the ghouls. In order to survive, Zhou Chen exploded with all his strength and tried his best to keep the distance from the group of ghouls chasing behind him. 3 minutes, just stick to 3 minutes. While running away, Zhou Chen cheered himself up in his heart. However, this so-called initial mission was not that simple. Zhou Chen discovered after running forward for a while, that ghouls were not the only ones in the wilderness that appeared in the dirt. And some ghouls appeared one after another in other directions. Ghouls, these disgusting things are crawling on the ground and surrounding him. No. Can't hide. Although the group of ghouls behind him was pulled some distance away. But seeing the ghouls surrounding him in all directions in front of him, and their slow speed, Zhou Chen predicted that he would not be able to escape all of them. Met with a few of them. There's no way, I'm fighting it. As the so-called meeting on a narrow road, the brave wins. Zhou Chen did not flinch when he saw it. He suppressed the fear of these disgusting monsters in his heart, rushed directly to the direction with the fewest monsters, and then flew up after quickly approaching a ghoul crawling alone. One kick hit its head. Click. In the sound of bone breaking, Zhou Chen found that the head of the ghoul he was kicking flew out like a ball, and rolled onto the wilderness ground. The body of the ghoul, connected with the head, almost disappeared almost instantly. Passive Predator Trigger. You have looted the ghoul's passive skill Scorpion Poison Eye, do you want to merge it? Fusion. Zhou Chen immediately shouted in his mind. Although he dropped a ghoul in seconds just now, more ghouls are emerging from the ground in front of him. There are too many ghouls. And he can't guarantee that he can survive to the end, so the current situation is anything that can be strengthened. All means of its own combat power have to be used. Soon, Zhou Chen felt that there seemed to be a surge of cold energy in his body, and his skin seemed to be darker. But at this time he didn't have time to care about these things. He was still squeezing his physical stamina and fleeing, and at the same time attacking the ghoul blocking the road when he couldn't escape. Phoo! I saw a crawling ghoul in front of Zhou Chen suddenly lowered his body and jumped up, leaping towards him. It was difficult for Zhou Chen to dodge when he was running at high speed, so he had to hit him with a punch in a hurry, hitting the head of the ghoul who flew over. With the impulse of running with this punch, his strength was not weak, and he directly smashed the ghoul onto the ground. But he himself was also affected by the impact of the ghoul. Although he was not attacked by chance, his body staggered and fell to the ground. Never fall down. Zhou Chen struggling to get up as soon as he fell to the ground, because he knew that the current situation would never allow him to fall to the ground, and falling to the ground would definitely cause him to die very quickly. As soon as he stood up, Zhou Chen saw that the ghoul that was hit to the ground just now was not dead, but there seemed to be some signs of corrosion on its shriveled head, and its speed of action had also slowed down a bit, and it could not catch up. I'm about to exhaust myself. The corpse poison seems to have some effect on the ghoul. This corpse poison is definitely not low. I must not be attacked by the ghoul. Zhou Chen's heart suddenly became clear. He tried all his strength to continue to escape, determined to survive this last little time.